Now, are you watching Newsnight alone? And if so, are you also lonely? Loneliness, according to a senior advisor at Number 10, may actually be worse for your health in old age than smoking. He made the comments during a discussion about encouraging people to retire later. And it comes after the Housing Minister, Grant Shapps, suggested the elderly could downsize to free up housing. Stephen Smith reports.
You get to retirement age and then they want you to take on a new job. Number 10 won't interfere in Harry Redknapp's future, but they are saying others of 65 plus could spare themselves the misery of loneliness if they worked. Harry's never been more popular, but loneliness is a greater health risk than smoking to mature folk, say Mr. Cameron's aides. According to the Number 10 insider, the well-known health problems of obesity, lack of exercise, drinking and smoking aren't such serious risks to pensioners as the lack of someone to love you. I'm going to see Maud Hazel, who's lived in this block of flats in southeast London since 1939, when she moved in with her parents. Maud is 86 now. Hello, Maud.
Hello.
I'm Stephen. How are you?
Very well.
She lives on her own since the death of her longtime companion Marjorie 5 years ago.
Marjorie and I went everywhere together because I suffered with agoraphobia, fear of open spaces. Because when Marjorie died, I thought, how am I going to get out? But I thought, well, I've got to eat, I've got to buy food, I've got to make myself do it. It was very hard, yeah. But I done it.
Number 10, Downing Street, they're saying loneliness could be a bigger killer amongst old people than smoking. What do you think of that?
I agree with them.
You believe
I
that?
agree with it, yes, definitely.
To suggest that loneliness or social isolation is more of a problem than smoking isn't particularly helpful. If it distracts attention from things that government can do in terms of action around tobacco, so things around the price of cigarettes, restricting young people's access to cigarettes, reducing advertising and so on, then that would be a concern.
I think is quite interesting for us looking at revolutions because obviously the political revolutions you don't have to be Marxist to, are often linked up with economic revolutions and instability.
These, shall we say, mature students at the University of the Third Age, or U3A, have been studying revolutions at their regular get-togethers in North London. So how do they feel about the sudden change that the government seems to favour? But why not just stay in and watch Countdown of an afternoon?
Well, I found that U3A has given me an enormous opportunity to fill in all the gaps. Studying for ourselves isn't the only thing that our age group does. There's a whole army of retired people who are out there doing voluntary work for the society. And if you put us to work, to gainful employment...
Paid employment?
Yeah. You would have to then pay people to do the other jobs that we are doing voluntarily.
Our society certainly makes it easy to be isolated as you get older and more housebound. But I don't think that you can legislate or advise for what people should do.
I've no idea whether loneliness is a greater killer than smoking. It sounds like a very dodgy statistic from Number 10 to me. What I do know for certain is that loneliness is quite bad for people, but that there is an easy cure for it. The Number 10 cure for it of going back to paid work, of returning to be a wage slave, is not the cure that you have to... I think people should be allowed to do that if they wish. There should be much less ageism in the workplace. But if that's not what they want, they should be enabled as older people to do whatever they wish to do.
That's the lady.
Maud Hazel isn't by herself so much these days, thanks to neighbours and a local charity. God willing, loneliness won't claim her. And as for smoking, she quit last year, aged 85.
Stephen Smith there. Now, Esther Ransom has written about loneliness and is working on setting up a charity